I would just like to point out that all of the characters and writings are property of the prospective owners and the people who created them. I own none of the content that is currently being created. Please support the official release of all such products. Thank you for listening.
That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Volume 1, Chapter 27. The Ogre Tribe. All monsters within the cave now run away at the mere sight of me. Probably the result of my aura. Pleased, I left the cave. So I planned, but... Gah! Who is it? Pursuers? Young master, we'll only slow you down. Please escape with the princess. Wicked demon, don't try to deceive our eyes. And in other similar grand statements I could hear from a group at the entrance of the cave. Height surpassing 6 feet. A group of large monsters looking like a ragtag militia. Their bodies, a lump of muscles. The ogres. Aren't these self-proclaimed rulers of the forest? They look exactly like Rigurdo has described. So, what are they afraid of? Some demon? What's with that? Scary! A bit bewildered, I plan my escape. I check behind me, but don't feel any presence. No heat signatures either. So, the ogres can see it, but I can't. This might be bad. Just when I thought I had gained new abilities, I guess I'm still far from true strength. A demon? What kind? My bad, but I don't see it. Where is it now? While on my guard, I begin to make a retreat to Ogre's side, but they still haven't responded to my question. Moreover, they're keeping distance from me. What, are they planning on using me as bait? The moment I thought so. What are you saying? The wicked demon is none other than you, slime. You've not fooled our eyes, one of the ogres called out. What? To call such an adorable slime a wicked demon? That's not a nice thing to say. Oh, wait a second. I'm the wicked demon? Are you trying to play dumb? That aura unbefitting of a slime? Did you think you'd fool someone? As I was enjoying freaking out the cave's monsters too much and kept it open, huh? So I quickly pulled back the aura and... I don't have anything like that. You must have imagined it. ... Of course I couldn't fool them. But, after insisting that I was just misunderstanding for a while, I somehow managed to have them lower their guard. Oh boy. In the first place, why are they even here? When I so asked, they told me that they had escaped here. Looking closely, there are many injured, with some gravely so. A normal monster would have died by now. The only reason they're still standing is surely due to the extremely high vitality of the ogre race. Still, I proceed to spit out some restorative medicine and treat their wounds. With their high vitality, even the diluted medicine quickly restores them to perfect health. While appearing surprised for some reason, they thank me. Now, although their wounds are healed, they are nonetheless clearly exhausted, so I decide to have them rest at my village. After all, I need to find out what had enough powers to decimate the ogres. They are a rank B monsters, but from training they can raise to rank B plus or even A minus. The rulers of the forest, the strongest being around, or so I heard. In any case, I'll guide them to the village. Deciding to carry them over there, I summoned Ranga. When I called, he appeared from within my shadow. That is, I finally succeeded at summoning him. My pride simply didn't allow the fact that Gobta succeeded where I couldn't. Thus I practiced. And a good thing I had done so, considering the situation. There were 6 ogres. Mimicking the black wolf, I carried 3 and left the remaining 3 to Ranga. Thus we returned to the village. By foot it would have taken more than a day, but at our pace we managed it in under an hour. As expected of ogres, unlike the dwarves who fainted, they were merely impressed with the speed. Thus we escorted the ogres to our village, where I invited them to my tent. Well, in place of the tent stood a log cabin when I arrived, looking just like the blueprint I had suggested. Seems like while I was away practicing my skills, they quickly set it up. While thanking the dwarves and goblins, I entered it. Looks just like I had imagined. Amazing. The blueprint I had by drawing on a plank with some charcoal, and along with measurements, I passed it to Mildo. After looking it over, "Got it!" he exclaimed. By the results, it seems like my handwriting effectively communicated the design. Furthermore, the room was furnished just as I had previously requested. As for the ogres, I showed them the reception room, and asking them to wait inside, I head over to the dwarves. To pick up the clothes I had requested from Garm, of course. Assuming my child version, I tried the clothes on. Steel thread underwear and fang wolf outerwear. The materials used, of course, came from the previous pack leader, but for some reason the fur turned black. Putting on pants and an overcoat, I felt like I dressed to impress. As an extra bonus, it seems that the fur had quite some magical energy stored in it. Donna, this seems to have tremendous defense power. It ain't just some normal fur. Satisfied, Garm gave me his approval. The final item was not armor, but a piece of clothing, which is fine. I'd be fine without it, but I guess having it is better. So I thought, until I heard about... by the way, this attire just happens to have become a magic item. It will always perfectly fit the one who wears it. Such wonderful news. In other words, even if I turn into my adult version, the clothing won't rip. Well done, Garm. Chances are the fur that had been constantly floating around inside my magic energy stomach was thus strengthened, so if I come across any good ingredients, I should remember to allow them to mature inside. Let's make a mental note of that. Now then, I shouldn't make them wait too long. Having found a fitting spot, I asked Haruna to prepare tea for 7 people and returned to the ogres. The ogres patiently waited, perhaps finding things unusual. They were looking around the room. Sadly, as the building had just recently been finished, it lacks any decoration. Haruna brought in the tea and immediately left. I guess it's now time to try out my human sense of taste. I take a sip of the tea. Delicious. To someone who never had made a fuss about taste or anything, this world's palate has already been able to impress me. It tastes like matcha, a bit bitter. I also feel its warmth. Not the effects of warmth, just the warmth itself. A bizarre feeling. The ogres too seemed to enjoy the tea, and after we had all calmed down, we began the discussion. Halfway through, I called for Rigurdo, and I also had the remaining 4 clan chiefs also attend. Kaijin also started his break and came over. Perfect. Rigurdo and Ririna immediately came over. The rest are apparently very busy, so we decided to continue the conversation with the 5 of us. Why did I call for them? Because of the gravity of the situation. If I had to summarize the ogre story, it would be simple. A war. And the ogres were defeated. Just that. At the same time, as we fought the flame giant Ifrit, the ogres were caught up in their own war. Who could have taken on the rulers of the forest, and to win at that? The goblin chiefs were just as shocked. In an instant their expressions tightened. The enemy was... They suddenly attacked our village. With overwhelming strength. Those bastards! Orcs! Unlike humans, monsters don't have any rules stipulating a declaration of war. But, although they can't badmouth for the surprise attack, the fact that the orcs even attacked the ogres in the first place is strange. Orcs rank between C and D, stronger than your average goblin, but pose no danger to veteran adventurers. However, these weaklings attacked the strongest and even managed to win. Thus I asked for details. The ogre village, though perhaps it was too small to call it that, only housed 300 ogres. 300 B-rank monsters. That is the size of a country's knight's order. If you're planning on subjugating a village with rank B knights, you'd need about 3,000 of them. And the orcs possessing that much might? We all have expressions of disbelief, considering nearly that every villager was slaughtered. The village chief and a small group apparently opened up a path for their young master and the princess to escape. With a pained voice, one ogre said, "Had I had more power." He must have been their young master. The last scene they had seen was that of their chief falling to the orcs. Also, a giant orc was releasing some strange aura. There were others like him. While the elite warriors of the village approached those 4, the remaining orcs invaded the village. They numbered around 10,000. Of course, he did not count each one, but rather felt that there were at least that many. But regardless of the method, there was an absurd amount of orcs. And each one, like the humans, were fully armored in plate mail. Should that be true, then this was certainly not planned by orcs alone. Perhaps some country is using the orcs. They have become pawns of the demon lord, Kaijin muttered. Does that possibility exist? I thought that the demon lord avoids the forest on principle. Beyond the forest spreads the demon's continent. With fertile land, production is undertaken by the enslaved masses and goblins. Thus, the demon's country does not starve and cares little for humans. For that reason, a demon lord desiring conquest would be most likely to attack the humans. However, there could be surely a demon lord who, out of boredom, decides to start a war. The disappearance of the Jura Forest Guardian, Veladora, also meant that this particular type of demon lord would no longer be deterred. I see. In that case, I probably have to put more thought into the defense of the forest. Now what happens next? I asked for everyone's opinion. I believe the orcs intend to capture our lands. Rigurdo answers on everyone's behalf. They look at me, waiting for my opinion. Fight, run, or join them. The ogres, after all, would immediately become prisoners depending on my decision. Quickly, the tensions rise. Well, how about we request some more tea? Having said that, I called for a second serving. As everyone sips their tea, their expressions loosen. Now then, what are you planning on doing? I asked the ogres. Isn't it obvious? Look for a chance and charge right in. Of course I have to take revenge for my master. Me too. While I am yet powerless, I can't let those pigs live. We all follow our young master and princess. They know they're going to their deaths, but... You guys not interested in becoming my subordinates? What did you say? Yeah, even if they do, the goblins won't be enough to sway the course of battle. We need to increase our fighting strength for when the orcs arrive. If you guys support me, I think I can fulfill your wishes. What are you saying? Simple. I'll help you guys. Well, I'll be fighting them anyways eventually. I see. The goblins will help us fight, and we'll be used to protect this place, right? Exactly. By the way, it's fine if the agreement lasts until we defeat the orcs. Afterwards, I don't mind if you request your freedom. You can stay with the goblins and create a country, or you can set off on your own. How about it? The ogre called Young Master stopped to think upon hearing my offer. As expected of a B rank, this young master clearly has the abilities of a B rank plus. I can see intelligence in his eyes. He slowly closed his eyes and then opened them wide and... Understood. We shall become your subordinates. To raise their chances of victory, if even a bit they decided to serve me. I'm glad to say the least. Perhaps I can save these guys too. I hadn't known at the time, but the ogres often served as mercenaries, and the vanguard army that the demon lord had sent out just happened to be of the same occupation. They easily accepted my offer. When I had heard it then, I accepted them as friends without question. Alright, now then, let's name you guys. Huh? What do you? The usual naming. While the ogres are bewildered by the turn of events, I don't mind at all. I quickly give them some names. Today I feel particularly creative. I looked at the color of their aura. Young Master will be Benimaru, the princess will be Shuna. Their guard as well as Kurobi, Hakuro, Sui, and Shion. So I called them. And I entered a state of low activity. Hey, for that to happen, just for 6 of them, what's with that? When I awoke, well, I was awake, but the following day I got my answer. With hair burning like a crimson flame, Benimaru, although he used to be big and bulky, his height decreased to 6 feet, and his body tightened. However, his magical energy changed enough to mistake him for a different being. Eh? They evolved that much? That, of course, was my intention. Clearly they surpassed A rank. Truly, Onibito. Translator note, Ogreman. Sounds weird. 2 black horns protrude from below the hair, glowing more brilliantly than obsidian, though I bet he'd find it unpleasant if I called him a beauty. Next, Shuna and Shion are women. If the princess were a guy, I'd be complaining. Ogre women were surprisingly beautiful, but the evolution made them gorgeous. What's with this? Where did this idol come from? No, they aren't that good. From within her long, wavy pink hair, 2 white horns could be seen, white skin and pink lips. What a beautiful girl. Her height, only about 5 feet. Crimson eyes with a gaze filled with passion stare at me. The other, Shion, purple, dark, straight hair with a simple purple horn, white skin and red lips. Purple eyes as if looking into my soul, with a height of 5.5 feet, licking her lips as models sometimes do. A true beauty. I want her as my secretary. So I thought from the bottom of my heart. Kurobi is in his prime, a dandy uncle. Hakuro is a middle-aged man, however you can't underestimate him for it. Sue is the same as Benimaru. Darker skin, and a dark blue hair, a beautiful man, with a different air around him, 6.5 feet tall, blue eyes that suit him well, and all surpass A rank. I'll say it again, they all surpass A rank. That's why I had to use that much magical energy. If you asked me, I'd tell you that all the strongest ogres had fled here, and they probably already had names, but really, if they betrayed us, that ain't gonna be anything to laugh about. And as if ridiculing my worries, Rimuru-sama, we humbly wish for you to listen to our request. If you are so kindly disposed, please accept our loyalty. And they simultaneously bowed before me. A reason to refuse, I have none. Thus, I obtained new comrades, and the fact that I slightly fear their strength will keep a secret. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Volume 1, Chapter 28. Jobs. Making new friends is good and all, but will everyone get along? I had such a worry for a bit, but it was quickly dispelled. The ogres, who have evolved into Oni. Perhaps, as they evolve closer to their ancestors, they'll unlock some special powers. I know I said that it seemed like their powers surpassed A rank, but as their power stabilized, they could end up falling down to A minus. Even so, they have clearly become very strong, and furthermore in a battle perhaps more than physical prowess, special abilities are the key to victory. I myself defeated Ifrit thanks to abilities, so I must admit I'm rather interested in what kind of abilities their bodies hold. Also, because of the evolution, the clothing they wore doesn't fit them at all. Since their bodies shrunk, though they are still bigger than the goblins, the sizes are too big, their armor broken and their weapons chipped and cracked. Curiously, they had dressed looking like soldiers fleeing from a battlefield, and since their sense of style I found curious, I decided to ask. Hey, some 400 years ago a young lad wandered into our village. The villagers were suspicious, but the chief warmly welcomed him. Around the same time, a lesser dragon was rampaging in the forest. After expressing his gratitude, the lad defeated the dragon. The villagers had hallowed his name and passed down his praise to us. We began imitating the lad's attire, and that has been how we dressed ever since. And that's how it is. So, you recreated the equipment yourselves? As you say, the lad had taught us various techniques, and through trial and error we learned them. Kurobi, for example, is a blacksmith, and specializes in swords. Oh, to think we already have someone to make swords. Let's quickly introduce him to Kaijin, since they have already met yesterday. The discussion didn't take too long. In fact, as if they had known each other for years, they quickly started producing new weapons. Let's leave it to them. Moreover, there was something surprising. This world also has silk products. Most of clothing I've seen so far have been made from clothing that looks like hemp. Goblins' original clothing, for example. Well, whether it actually is hemp or not, I don't know, but it certainly looks like it. But I disagree about silk. That is something that can be harvested from a hell moth, a monster living near the ogre's village. Well, to be more precise, it's from the pupa. If the larva grows into a hell moth, it's a powerful monster with bewitching powder that is ranked B. However, during its transformation, it's perfectly harmless. So, you look for cocoons and gather those. Shuna is an expert at this and has been called the Fabric Princess. Let's introduce her to Garm and Doldo. Garm is in charge of everyday clothing and underwear. Doldo focuses more on dyes and high-class attire. While we cannot make those yet, we are making arrangements to produce them eventually. As for hunting the cocoons, we left that to Goblin Cavalry. And while they're at it, they'll capture some larvae to breed in the village. As I don't know much about silkworm cultivation, this may just end up succeeding through trial and error. However, as we may eventually get some decent clothing, the pain may be worth it. About my steel thread pile. I leave it to you, I told Shuna, and handed it over. Got it. I'll make you proud, Rimuru-sama, she answered with a bright blush. Adorable. She must be at that age where she's happy to be depended on. As an ogre princess, she probably hadn't worked with clothes besides as a hobby, so even a bit of responsibility seems to make her happy. The dwarf brothers are also happy to be working together with her. Just please don't touch her. Unlike how she looks, that girl's frighteningly strong. Probably if they try touching her ass, they won't be seeing the sunrise again. These two are pretty perverted, so it makes me worry. Well, the only reason I can worry about them is my lack of sexual desire. If I had it, I'd have to worry about myself over any other person, 'cause she's so damn adorable. Truly an Oniheim. Heim meaning princess. Shuna-sama. Shuna-sama has found employment? Please calm your worries, for I shall devote myself to Rimuru-sama. Shion pushed herself between me and Shuna. It looked as if sparks were flying between them. Nah, I was probably just seeing an optical illusion. Oof. How could that be if I shall be the one to care for Rimuru-sama? Perish the thought, Himi-sama. I shall not let it come to that. I personally shall fully devote myself to Rimuru-sama. Lightning sparks between them. See, they're perfectly civil. Besides, I require no one's care. Having lived alone for a long time, I can manage all household duties. So, let's take our leave, is what I wanted to do. Rimuru-sama, between myself and Shion, which would you fancy at your side? They didn't let me run away. Ah, yeah. Shuna has her weaving, right? So I'll depend on you when you're free, maybe. Depend regarding what? I don't get it. Shuna, on the other hand, understood. I have been favored, right? Ah, yeah, that's right. Let's leave it at that. Right. Glad to have you. She smiled and nodded at my words. Cute. In that case, for the time being, please leave Rimuru-sama to me, Himi-sama. Please take care of our lord. Phew. I live to serve. Somehow the conversation grew heavy. At that moment, it felt as if the temperature dropped in the room, but I probably imagined it. You know, there are plenty of things in this world to which you absolutely should say, I probably imagined it. This is one of them. Together, with Shion, we walked around to oversee the construction. Speaking of, what are the remaining three up to? Were together with us up until a little bit ago. Hakuro-sama was our martial instructor, the strongest swordsman in the royal guard. Surely he went to confirm the city's defense. Benimaru-sama and Soe seem to have gone to check their abilities. They are rivals and best friends. I believe they desire to test their new strength. I see. Certainly even I understood how important it is to check your abilities. And Hakuro is a swordsman, huh? I really should have him teach me. But if he's busy checking the village, asking him for training will have to wait. Kurobi and the rest are also busy making armor and swords, so that should be fine. But really, can't wait to get a sword. I really want to imagine an army of goblins armed with swords. However, in actual combat, a spear is surely a better option. We went to look for Benimaru and Soe, or rather, we went to the area where the two auras clashed, a plain in the direction of the cave. It was a battle like you'd see in a manga. The red and blue aura would intertwine and fight for dominance. The earth split and the heavens cracked. That's how intense their fight felt. I couldn't believe my eyes. So, these are Oni. Their armor crumbled from the strength of their blows, not that it could protect them in the first place. Their swords broke, but they continued the fight, barehanded in what resembled karate, with set techniques and rules. It was not an amateur's brawl. They were ogres, right? Their motions were so fluid that I wanted to ask. As expected of young master, Soe is also splendid. In our martial arts, barehanded skills serve as the foundation for mastery of the sword, is what she said. The sword is an extension of your body, thus, first master the body. These words were passed down in the village from the young lad who defeated the dragon. Masters of martial arts, ogres. If adventurers encountered them, I wonder how many unfortunate adventurers met such a fate. Let's offer them a prayer. Having noticed me, the two immediately stopped their fight and rushed over. No injuries on either of them. If anything, they looked like they'd been playing catch or something. Rimuru-sama, I humbly thank you for this wonderful power. With this power, I shall turn the orcs into a sea of blood in your name. Yeah, though I can't say I'm looking forward to it. Promising words, I'll leave it to you. We will still need the goblins to gather more information, though. Has scouting been going poorly? No, the goblins are excellent, but there are many dangers associated with approaching too closely. Right. For the sake of intelligence, I had sent out scouts. However, as some orcs may be especially careful, I strictly ordered the scouts to avoid detection. Upon hearing my explanation, Soe said, Rimuru-sama, in that case, I shall go on reconnaissance. Please order me. Looks like he has confidence in his espionage skills. Perhaps now that he has evolved, the powerful Oni, Soe may gather better intelligence than the goblins. If anything, he looks cool-headed, so he probably won't do anything rash. Maybe I can leave it to him. Can I leave it to you? Aye, I hear and obey. The moment he answered, his figure vanished from sight. Shadow movement. I see he's obtained a wonderful skill. With effort, I should also be able to acquire it. Seems like I have another thing I need to practice for. Sorry for using your friend. It is of no problem. We must show results with the power you have bestowed upon us. I see. The orcs are your sworn enemies after all. The day we fight them shall come. Still, your rage until then. Of course. If there is anything I can do, please give me your command. I live to become your hands and feet. Is that so? Your words relieve my fears. By the way, did you find the goblins capable? That I did. You had mentioned making a country here, Rimuru-sama, as our monarch, Rigurdo as the prime minister. I fear I understand little in politics, but please leave the military matters to me. While we were conversing thus, ho ho ho, young master, you intend to put my old bones to use? However, if it be for Rimuru-sama's sake, then I shall force this old body to work. With such words, Hikaru had joined the conversation. I hadn't noticed his presence at all, nor his body temperature. Oh. Had he struck me now, I would have been hit once without any warning. This is what they call a master. In a better time, or perhaps had he been born as a human, he would be probably called a sword saint or something. Nameless, never having gone out into the world, this grandpa ogre quietly polished his sword skills. I can see how he'd be the strongest among them. Benimaru, are you stronger than Hikaru-san? Rimuru-sama, your joke puts me at an awkward position. This old-timer, rather, Hikaru, is the strongest man in the royal guard. He even surpassed my father. And besides, he is of mixed race with the blood of the young human warrior flowing through him. As he said, my ancestor was none other than the master swordsman, Araki Bayayuka. Japanese, huh? Seems like from the time of the katana. I see, in that case, you are a samurai, aren't you? A single, casual word caused it. Magical energies escaped from Hikaru's body, mixed with that of his surroundings, and then reassembled. The amount of energy in his body did not change, however, its quality did. I forgot about it. Evolution due to class change, huh? A middle-aged Oni. But I seem to have reinvigorated him. Now he looks as if he's in the prime of his life. Well, he also looks shocked at the change in his body. I've done it again. To think that just a single word could have had such an effect. While his body was still adjusting to the increase in magical energy, it seems to have found that the samurai class is appropriate to attune to. I just pray he hadn't become stronger than me. Good for you. From today on, you are a samurai. Samurai live by their loyalty. Serve Benimaru well. So I exclaimed. Wait a second. I always wanted to be made into a samurai, Benimaru said while looking at me with eyes full of determination. He really is like a stereotypical warrior. But to ask now, of all time? I can do that, but you are fine with not becoming a village chief? You speak those words at such a late hour. I have chosen to serve beneath you. I have pledged my loyalty to you. Again, I offer you my loyalty. Please recognize me as your samurai. I too ask this of you, Shion as well, huh? If it has come to this, I guess I'll just have to bite the bullet. I understand. From now on, you are samurai. Live for my sake. I feel like I've said this yesterday as well. How embarrassing. But these guys... As you command, we pledge our entire lives to you. Without a hint of embarrassment, they pledged themselves to me. By the way, I gave Kurobi the blacksmith profession and Shion the shrine maiden class. But Kurobi, though his power decreased as a result, he showed me terrifying skill at forging swords. I should ask him to craft me a sword soon. Shuna seemed to have been able to use black magic since the beginning, but becoming a shrine maiden seems to have revealed some secret arts to her. Unlike magic, it's not something she can teach other people. Though if she acquires some seemingly useful skill, I'll definitely ask her to analyze it. It doesn't matter that she can't teach it to other people. I have Predator after all. I'll quickly learn it the moment she gets it. As for the young guy who already has shadow movement, I know exactly what will fit him. Right! What every child loves, ninja. If it's him, he could probably land a critical hit, sending heads flying. Actually, Hikaru can already do that. Scary. Just standing by him in human form makes me imagine my head flying off. How worrisome. I have to further consider their strength. Now that they've gotten stronger, I have to think of methods of improving myself. I can't keep depending on abilities forever. Seems like I have much to learn for the upcoming battle. Then it happened, revealing exactly what I needed to do to prepare.